Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace, and today, very, very special issue for you guys. Issue number 27. So twofold. One means we're officially past the 6-month mark, which is insane to me to think that I've been podcasting, A, for this long, and then B, that we just kind of keep it going, which is awesome. But probably the bigger thing is that we actually are incorporating video now. So we're going to be on YouTube, hopefully moving forward is really the goal here. And so this is going to be my first video literally ever recording. And so just excited to see how this whole journey goes and basically see what tweaks I need to make along the way. A couple call outs I already know. I got the Canva logos all over the place, right? So it's a whole bunch of watermarks. It's just basically a template to see, is this the format that we want to continue? So audio listeners, please just bear with me as I get this all squared away. And then for those watching the video, understand that, it'll get cleaned up kind of over time here, but just wanted to start off with the basics, put together a show, see what it all looks like. And then from there, I'll make the tweaks as necessary, and we'll just kind of keep it moving. So the way I have it set up for the audio people, if you're interested in looking, it is going to be basically me in the corner as like the floating head, and then we have the comic up top, and so I'll show off the cover, and then as we get into the reviews for each one, then I'll go into actually showing the art off a little bit. But other than that, systematically, the show is going to just basically remain the same. So still going to review 10 or so issues per week, mostly focus on the pulls that came out this week. Omega runs will still focus mostly on the backlogs. And the only added element is just having this art piece in here, so that way you can visually see what I'm talking about, because I know for some folks out there, it's a visual medium, right? It's the storytelling itself, but then also the visuals that comprise what comic books are, so it's an important element for sure. But, other than that, we'll still talk about the pulls. I think we'll probably work in a way where I show the screen as far as what those pulls are looking like for the week. But we kind of just have the bare bones right now, right? Just want to get everything up and running, and then from there, make those tweaks and adjustments. So, with that, let's get into it. We'll start with the pulls for the week. And this week was a much shorter week kind of overall. So I got 2 screens here. That's what I'm looking at. So one just has basically my notes and then OBS up and running, and then the other has the pulls. So on the docket here, we had 13 books. So not bad at all. 13 is very manageable, very doable. I think probably moving forward, I want to get it pared down to where we're in that 13 mark. So that's what I'm hoping for. But here we had Batman, Superman, World's Finest. So that is an annual. I picked that up. We have Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, number 7. We have Bitter Roots, The Next Movement, number 2. We read it. We'll review it. Death of Copra. I've been saying Copra, but literally at the beginning of this book, it tells you it's Copra. It rhymes with Cobra. I was like, oh, okay. Well, now I know. So apologies for mispronouncing it. But Death of Copra, number 4. Reddit will review it. Doom Academy, number 3. Hellhunters, number 5. Reddit will review it. The Power Company Recharge, number 1. The Rocketfellers, number 5. Reddit will review it. The Seasons, number 4. Reddit will review it. Star Wars, The High Republic, Fear of the Jedi. Reddit, we will review it. Ultimate Spider-Man 16. Reddit will review it. Incredible book, and you can see it's already up there right now on the screen. Then we have Void Rivals, number 18. Reddit will review it. And then We're Taking Everyone Down With Us, number 2. Reddit will review it. Interesting thing of note, none of these are backlogs for this week, which is a good sign. A lot of the stuff I'm just kind of getting through. But then I also noticed there's like literally no X-Men here other than Rogue the Savage Land is like the only one that's listed on here. Oh, and you know what? It's not on the polls, but the reason it's not on the polls is because I got the B copy instead of the A. So it's actually 14. I got Rogue the Savage Lands. That's right. I made that change in League. I was like, why am I not seeing it here? But yeah, that was the only X-Men. Whereas usually you have like standard X-Men, exceptional, uncanny, so on and so forth. And then all the other ones that I'm subscribed to that are like just individual X-Men characters. So those are the polls. Then we will get into the actual review for the week. And so we have 10 on the docket for this week. So the way I have it set up now, rather than flipping through it in front of the mic, I just have them all set up here on the camera. So this is like an overhead camera basically. So may have to make tweaks to this as far as the lighting, but it looks like it's pretty good. So here we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 16, and we'll review these in this order. We're taking everyone down with us, number 2. Hellhunters, number 5. Rogue the Savage Land, number 4. Bitter Roots, number 2. Death of Copra, number 4. The Rocketfellers, number 5. The Seasons, number 4. Void Rivals, number 18. And then Dazzler, number 2, which is a backlog. I started reading that one. I started reading it, I don't know, maybe it was Tuesday evening. And so I was like, all right, well, if you already read it, let's just incorporate it. And then what I already had picked out for my backlogs, basically, and you combine that with the polls from this week, it basically added up to 10 perfectly for the Omega run. So I was like, okay, you have a really solid list of this will be 10, and then we'll have 10 for next week. We'll have a mix of polls and backlogs there. So I was like, all right, just include Dazzler in this one, and it doesn't have to be all the new books that came out this week. Also a very odd week. Shout out, it is Saturday. It's free comic book day. I should probably make that a note, but this is going to obviously age very quickly. But if you're listening to this on Saturday and you have a comic book shop near you, go ahead, get out there, go to a comic book shop, and they'll have a ton of free books. You have basically every publisher that you can think of is going to have something out there. Marvel usually has like 3 or so books that they combine into one. So I think last year it was 2 different books, 3 were issues into one. One, I think it was like the Uncanny Avengers, Deadpool, and I think a Captain America issue, all mixed into one, or maybe it was like a Thor issue. And then I looked at them and I was like, okay, I've read this one, but these other 2 I haven't, and it is the full issue listed in there. So it's good to give you some exposure to maybe some characters you're not familiar with, or I'm not on this particular run. It'd be nice to see like what's all happening here, completely free. So if you can, get out to a comic book shop. First Saturday in May every year. I think this first Saturday in May is also the Kentucky Derby, so it's just funny how like those 2 traditions will always just kind of line up. But yeah, it should be a great day. I'm going to be heading out there probably around, I think the shop opens at 10, so I'll probably leave here at 9, hopefully get there at 9:30, and there's still going to be a line. This will be the 3rd year for me doing this, and it always is packed. They make it a big deal in the town that I'm, where I go to the store. But anyways, let's start with the reviews. So we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 16, right? And so for this book, I was like, let's just not even bury the lead. It's by far and away the best book that's come out for the week. League at the time, when you're looking at the entire list of the comic of the weeks and what that could be, this was number 1, unsurprisingly. And not only that, but it was like 46% of the vote, which is unheard of. Actually, if I flip over here real quick, let's see what the ranking is right now. Yeah, so now it's 45, but still up there. Then you have Batman, Superman, World's Finest, the Annuals, number 2. Godzilla vs. Spider-Man, and then Fantastic Four, and then Detective Comics. So the only 2 that I have are the first 2 that are top ranked. But a 45, I don't know if I've seen a 45 before. That is like insane. 40s is already high enough when you think of all the hundreds of books that come out. But again, pretty light week overall. Obviously, free comic book day. Next week is going to be a pretty light week as well, but they do that purposely because you have all these free books that come out. But even still, 45 is pretty nuts. So we have this issue, and when I read this, I was like, we are on to a banger here. I was like, could be a 5. But as I was reading, I was like, all right, let's relax, let's chill. It's a 4.5. League gave it a 4.6 though. So excellent book that we have here. And if you'll recall, for all these issues, and I should probably say this up front because it's the first time I'm doing video, I spoil the heck out of all of these books, right? So to talk about a whole bunch of recap leading into the review, we'll talk about the issue, and I talk about it cover to cover. So you're going to get spoilers. If you're not into spoilers, this is never going to be the show for you, unfortunately, unless I make a huge pivot, but I'll just get that out of the way. And so, yeah, for this book, it's huge because we finally understand what Gwen Stacy was up to the entire time. So Gwen is married to Harry. She's running Oscorp, but she's kind of been mysterious in the shadows, and we don't really know what is happening here. And we come to find out that, and this is the last time to get out before I start spoiling stuff, she is Mysterio. So that is the big reveal that happens in this book. We get the backstory on why she is Mysterio. Basically, she was born into it, similar to how Black Cat is for the Ultimate Universe as well. And then back during the issue where you had Spider-Man and Harry, who's a Green Goblin, being hunted by Kraven in the Savage Lands, like under the, I think it's like the sewers or like the underground of New York City. And Harry's killed at that point. And so Mysterio was involved. So, of course, you're like, okay, there's going to be some sort of shenanigans in some way, shape, or form, right? There's no way Harry's actually dead. And then basically you get that reveal here that Mysterio did come to rescue Spider-Man, basically. And he was like, okay, you be free now. And then I'm just going to take care of Kraven or take care of, Harry and the body. And so that's when Peter left, took his family, and they got out of town. And so for this issue, it's revealed what actually happened. So, Mysterio does this thing where it basically looks as though Harry was dead, but Harry was not dead. Grabbed Mysterio, pulled him to the side. The other big reveal, and the huge spoiler here, is that Mysterio kills Kraven. So now we have to deal with, I guess, those consequences with Kingpin, because he's going to find out eventually, right? So remember, we have all the Ultimate Universe. It's the Maker created this alternate universe, locked his self in like a cell for 2 years, which is just an arbitrary timeline to let you know that we have 2 years of this run that's going to happen. That is the Ultimate Universe. But basically, each part of the world has a bunch of leaders and they're all villains that have taken over these regions. So Kingpin's in charge of New York and I guess kind of most of North America. And then he's got a bunch of other kind of underbosses in charge of the different boroughs. So Mysterio's one of them, Kraven's one of them, Black Cat's one of them, Mr. Negative, kind of so on. And, Kingpin didn't want any of this hunting to go on in the first place. Kraven, I guess, is just obsessed with it and needed it to happen. And so Mysterio at the end is like, this isn't supposed to happen. And, here are the consequences. But now we'll have to see what those consequences are for Gwen now and now Harry, who we find are alive. And basically Gwen's like, we're going to team up and we're going to go after them. So we can see things kind of starting to form and come together here, right? Because now I'm sure it'll be revealed at some point that Gwen is Mysterio. So you have that angle of attacking. Harry's back. You have Spider-Man. You have his son. I'm sure we can flip Black Cat as well because her and Peter's son are pretty close from, I think it was like issue 14 or 15, something like that. So she just kind of came into the business as well as her father's out. So the pieces are starting to come together as we see everyone assembling, if you will. So it's exciting times overall, and a great issue. Let's flip into here and then show the art a little bit. And so I also have a nice little animation here where we can flip over, and now you get this kind of full screen. So you can see the art here, pretty awesome. Here are the spoilers in case you were interested. Obviously Marvel has all those ads in there as well, but the art has always been very solid. So looking forward to the rest of the story that we tell here. Should be a really good one. So that is Ultimate Spider-Man number 16. Again, I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.6. So now let's flip over to our next one here. We're taking everyone down with us. So this one on League, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.4, so much higher than I was. This is, of course, from Image. I do like this cover art a lot. Basically, at this point, we're still trying to figure out this world and this universe to a certain extent, but we have a Eliza is the name of the girl here, and her father is some kind of, we don't know if he's like an evil genius, but a genius for sure, working in this lab. He's got a whole bunch of these robots that are out playing with her, and basically he's consumed with his work, and you can tell that he's just not the best father and just very focused on work, but he's working on something that he's so committed to. He's got this lab assistant who keeps reassuring Eliza like he's doing something for the greater good. We don't quite know what it is. Last issue, we had some sort of spy that went after them, and it looks like they're trying to take out this doctor and blow up the house, basically, that they're working out of, which is in some crazy remote location. And at the end of it, it made it sound as though it was the dad who was going to find Eliza, and I thought he was in like an Iron Man suit. That is revealed that it's not. It's actually one of these robots that then came in to help. So that's where the story picks up for issue 2. So we have this robot that has now saved Eliza. Now she's trying to find her dad. It's come and revealed that the dad died in the blast. So it's just her by herself, but the assistant is still there as well. And so he kind of knows what's going on, but us as the readers, we still really don't. It's like, we got to get you out of here, basically. And so they get her down to like a dock that has a raft that's basically going to send her out. And it'll be her and one of the robots. Now, she's like a 14-year-old girl, like a younger teenager. And basically, she's like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. And like, you can't make me. And they kind of have to like force her to do it. But you find out that she's a bit of a badass as well. So there are now these different, I don't know if you want to call them spies or soldiers or mercenaries that are on the island. She's able to take some of them out. They're pretty stupid, but even still, she can use a gun. So she's capable, right? But they get to the point where it's like, you just have to go. It's way too dangerous, and we'll send you out in this raft, and it'll get to some place. So that all takes place. The other kind of B story that's happening here is there's this group of, it's like 6 or 7 different, and they look like supervillains, but maybe they're world leaders, could be some sort of cartel, and they're voting, right? And basically they're voting to say whether or not that this attack has happened, they've been notified, and should we go off and finish it, basically. And so everyone votes, and they all vote yes, except for one votes no, and it has to be some sort of unanimous decision. So everyone's pissed off about it, and they're like, hey, this guy owes us all this money, he's going to be a threat, we got to do something about him. And she's like, no, not going to happen. So we don't know who it is and the backstory there, but from there, basically what one of the guys just starts to do, and he's like this German guy that wears this mask and this cape, he's like, I'm going to go after him anyways. So while Eliza is on the raft, they find this like fisherman boat, or it looks like a fisherman boat at first, and like, please save us, please save us. And the robot's like, I don't know, this is a little sketchy and dangerous, we should really just keep it low profile. But they're like, hey, it's like, we got to get to land some way, somehow. Otherwise, we're going to just die out here at sea. Don't want that to happen, of course. And so while they do that, the fisherman then calls to them, you need help? She's like, yes, please. And they get closer and closer, and then you can see the figure. It's the German guy with the mask and the cape who is now bringing them on board. So not sure if he knows that that's the daughter or not, and if he's going to recognize the robots, but that's the cliffhanger we're left off on. So pretty cool book. So again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. Flip to the art real quick. You can see basically the breakdown here, and I'm sorry for the folks on the audio. You're just gonna have to deal with this, but the art looks pretty cool, right? So I'll say with the image stuff, I do have to be careful because you do get just like random nudity left, right, and center. So I just got to make sure that that is not the case. Obviously don't want to get banned on the first video. That's going to be problematic. But pretty cool and pretty violent, you can say as well. I hope YouTube is kind to me on that stuff as well. But that is, we are taking everyone down with us. Issue number 2. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. So next up we have, and I should be flipping these down this way. Next up we have Hellhunters number 5, and this is the conclusion of this story. So basically for this one, let me grab a sip of coffee as we're talking through. Being a one-man band, we got to run this all by ourselves. Got to take the breaks when you could take them. Anyways, for this one, again, end of the story here. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4. I thought it was a good story. I was almost a little disappointed because I was off in between 4 and a 3.5. The reason is it is very classic ending to one of these stories, right? Good guys win. They defeat whatever the demon is. Maybe he can come back, maybe he can't. There's just nothing special about it. So the art was insanely good. So I'll give it that. The art was good. So maybe that's what bumps it up a little bit higher. But I was hoping we would wrap it up in a different way. But sure enough, it's the big fight. All of our Hellhunter soldiers. So you have Wolverine here. You got Ghost Rider. You got Bucky. You have Nick Fury. You have Agent Carter. And then you have this other guy as well, who I'm not super familiar with. But basically, they have taken on these weapons from this demon, right? And so the other guy, the one who I can't name, this dude right here, is basically like, hey, by us using these weapons, there's going to be some sort of consequence. And it's Zarathos, I think, is his name. And they're like, well, we got to defeat this demon right now. They're on Normandy in the ocean. They're turning a whole bunch of people into zombies, and they're basically freezing over the ocean. Like, this is the last big battle. It is what it is. So they go and they fly into battle here. And let me actually show the art a little bit earlier so you can just see. So that is like the huge splash page that you have here. But you have some, like, it's just awesome art overall. And the fight between our heroes and the demons that you have listed here. So it's really good stuff. And, sure enough, they're able to win. There's nothing really to the story beyond that. And so the main guy who took on the demon spirit, he's not really mentioned as much. It's just more of like the actual spirit entity itself. But Ghost Rider gets into an airplane, so he flies the airplane through the demon. The demon gets struck in the heart and basically falls into the ocean and is defeated for now. So our whole squad, they head back to base in like somewhere off the coast of France, and the commander there is like, excellent job, guys. It's a ragtag group, and you just basically went AWOL and did whatever you want, but in the ends justify the means. So all good stuff there. And then basically the group just kind of disbands and they head back, and it leaves one open door of like, because we use these weapons, there's going to be something that Zarathos now wants, right? None of this stuff is just given from any of these demons without some sort of payment in return. So there is a debt to be paid, but that's basically it, right? That's how it kind of closes out. So good guys win, the demons down, and we go on to fight another day. So that's why I left it at a 4. And again, League came in with a 4.2. So that is Hellhunters number 5. Next up we have is Rogue the Savage Lands number 4. So for this one, I wanted cover A, but I think these are actually the rarer ones. And so this is cover B that we got from the shop. And I will say this book is very disappointing. I voted on this one as the bummer of the week. Oh, and now actually that I think about it, let's go back real quick and talk about whether or not it's time to jump in for any of these. So I usually do that for the video listeners on our watchers. I usually do that for these books, but sometimes I forget. I'm getting carried away. And so Ultimate Spider-Man 16, not the time. You got to start with the trades or something like that. You're going to be so confused with all this Gwen stuff. So I would say no. We're taking everyone down with us. Though it's number 2, I would still start with number 1 so you can get a little bit of the backstory, but you would be fine if you started with number 2. And then Hellhunters being number 5 in the last, obviously just get the trade at this point. But Rogue the Savage Lands, is it the time to jump in? I'd say don't jump in at all. And the reason is I gave this a 3. League gave it a 3.2. That's a very, very bad score as far as League is concerned. And when I say League, that's League of Comic Geeks, right? It is a website and a database where you can log all of your books. Here's what I have. Here's what I have coming up. Here's different stuff that I want to have. And it basically will keep a track of it for you. For all of it. It's an awesome resource. I love this thing so much, and it gives you a sense and a pulse of like how many people have, like what are people thinking about it, like compared to what I'm thinking about it. Like this book, for example, 70 people have reviewed it, and then so you have the others where you have maybe a larger market size and larger sample size and stuff like that. So it's an awesome resource. But yeah, I gave it 3, right? And so every time we do a 3, we got to put in this music here, right? It is it's just not a good book. It's just not a good book. It is so confusing what all is happening here, right? We have the Savage Lands are attacked by some witch. some of the local tribes there are siding with the witch. Some of them are fighting for the freedom of the savage lands. We don't really understand who or why. You got Rogue, you have Khazar, and you have Magneto. Magneto and Rogue like don't have their powers, but then maybe Magneto does have his powers because he flew off and like got all like electromagnified basically. So that doesn't make sense. He's fighting the witch. You have Rogue fighting one of the tribes. Khazar is also helping out, but like Rogue is like trying to get with Khazar the whole time, right? So this is one for the Gooners, as you can see from the cover alone. A is very similar, and then throughout, a lot of skin, but it's to what end? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, guys. I don't know. It's not good. The art's fine, serviceable, right? But it's nothing too special here. It's just really not. So, it's mid. It's a skip. I keep it on the list just so I can have one or two of these and I talk like this. That's the only reason I have it. Otherwise, I drop it. I do not recommend that book at all. Next up. Let's get to some happier things. Bitter Roots, number 2. Or Bitter Root, the next movement. So this one is interesting on the timing that it came out. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.5. 4.5, very strong, especially for an Image book. And I say the reason for the timing is this is very similar style story to Sinners, which is the Michael B. Jordan movie that just came out, which is getting phenomenal scores and reviews. This is like the same premise and concept as that is. So we have basically a federal organization that goes after a whole bunch of kind of like supernatural, I almost want to say like demons things or like aliens that are specifically targeting black people, right? Black people, freedom fighters. This is during the civil rights era. And so this group, right, you can see the cover art here. It's her and her squad. I think her name's Mariah, and it's a squad of a family that all work in this one department within the FBI. It's like the 1960s or something like that, or maybe late 1950s. And they're investigating a attack that happened in, I want to say it's Mississippi. There was one in Alabama, there's one in Tennessee now. I think this one is in Mississippi. And so these creatures or aliens or whatever we want to call them, they're called the Jinnu. And basically, when they arrive on site, there's an actual kind of standard FBI agents there as well. It's 2 of them. One came from the South, the other did not. So one of them is a little bit racist, you can tell. The other one, maybe not so much. Everyone in the town is completely racist. And the whole point of this book is saying that these Jinnu do not exist. They have happened in the past. None of these attacks have happened in decades. They don't exist anymore. But Mariah and her squad are like, the only way this could have happened were the Jinnu. And so last issue, we have 2 stories going on. One squad headed down from wherever the bureau is based out of, maybe DC or New York or something. And then another squad headed down as well. So Mariah, she's basically by herself. She's dealing with the local authorities and the other FBI agents. And then the other squad are hunting for these Jinnu. And basically they find out that they attacked, it was like a Freedom Rider bus that they attacked. And from that bus, a couple people escaped. And they can tell from the tracks. So they're trying to find these people to rescue them and then also stop the Jinnu. And so Mariah, in this issue, she's just dealing with the politics and the BS of it all, right? So basically, she is like, hey, we have this attack. The FBI agent's not fully cooperating. The other partner, like, kind of is because he's interested into the Jinnu and everything like that. So he's kind of on her side, but he's, like, keeping it up for interpretation. And it's also the racist FBI agent. That's his boss. So he has to, like, kind of play both sides a little bit here. But Mariah's just not taking any shit. She's like, this is for sure a Jinnu attack, and whether or not you guys like it, we're going to come in here and we're going to solve this. Now, the squad that's actually on the hunt, they've encountered the Jinnu. They saw them at the end of the first issue, so they start to attack. And they're very adamant of, like, we can't kill these people because at the end of the day, they actually are just human. They're just in this Jinnu form, or at least they can transform. And we don't want any sort of backlash to come from, like a whole bunch of white people and this, FBI agent of all black people just killed them, right? Because obviously that's not going to play well in the media. So that's what they do. They basically tie them all up, and but a couple get away. And so they head further into the woods, and this is where they find our, or maybe they already found them at this point, the ones that got away, basically, or the freedom fighters that got away. But for the one or two Jinyu that went further down, I don't know what exactly it was that happened, but basically it gets to the point where you either get overwhelmed or it forgets the directive that you need to not kill them, and it needs to be non-lethal in order to round them up. And then a different character enters. It's one of the uncles that's part of the bureau, and he goes and he shoots one of the Jinyu. And so that Jinyu for sure is dead. And you're like, oh boy, here we go now, right? We just created a huge mess. And from the gunshot, then it's a whole bunch more that swarm in onto the squad that's out in the woods, and that's the cliffhanger that we're left off on. So we have one that's dead, and now there's more attacking, and it's, how's this going to go, right? Is it going to de-escalate, or is it going to escalate further? So it's a cool story. It's a really cool premise. And again, with Sinners being out there is pretty awesome. So show some of the artwork here. So, here we have like the specifically the dead Jinyu here. And, it's pretty cool. This book and the concept of it all. So I'm enjoying it. I'm showing off the artwork here for the audio listeners. You can probably tell with the scruffling on the desk. But I'm enjoying this book a lot. I'm interested to see where it goes. I think just have 5 issues on this one. So 2 of 5, it says in the top corner. So we just have a couple more. But this is Bitterroot, the next movement. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.5. Really interesting premise that we got going on here. Next up we have is Death of Copra number 4. So Death of Copra I have not enjoyed. That has been getting the little sounder, usually been getting 3s. But this book here is just basically an art book only, is one of those. So it's like a silent issue. So I'll just go ahead and show it off. And because of that, I gave it a 3.5. And then Lee gave it, Lee did not review it, actually, did not rate it. And I'm not surprised because the first couple of issues were not good. So that's all this is. Basically here we're at like a Mexican standoff. We have 2 sides of Copra. It's an organization that has a bunch of mercenaries in it. And they have 2 different agendas. One wants to continue to be part of Copra. The other one wants to completely destroy it. They all end up into this room, and they start like basically killing each other in this issue. And I don't understand what's happening here. I don't get it. This issue is better because of the art, and it's just like full splashes that you have here. But I don't understand. I don't know who these people are. I don't really know what the premise is. It's just that the art is cool is the only reason. It has a 3.5 versus a 3. But it really should just have a 3. So let's see. If I pull it up here, it doesn't even have enough reviews yet to say like what the league rating is. So let's see. The previous issue I gave a 3. That didn't have enough reviews either. Issue number 2 I gave it a 3. That didn't have enough reviews. And then number 1 had 14 reviews. They gave it a 3.8. I gave it a 3. So this is another one that I just have in the stack, right, to talk about some things on. It can't all be 4s and above, right? So, and I should also say for the video, I mentioned this on the audio before. 4 is standard. 4 is good. 4 is everything was serviceable and what you would expect how a book should be, right? There are a couple that are, there's one that just ended. It was Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk. And that was basically to me like the quintessential book of it's serviceable, the action's great, the art is excellent, and the story isn't going to change the world or anything like that, but it's serviceable, right? And that is a 4. That is a solid book. Anything above that into the 4.5 is like an exceptional book. We have something special here, really big story beat. What the art is like out of this world. That brings it to a 4.5. 5, I want to do like less than 10 of those a year. And I think I've only done like 2 or 3 thus far through May. So it's truly got, like, I have to audibly like say something multiple times or like feel a certain way in order for it to be a 5 in my book. So hopefully those are very, very rare. 3.5 means it just missed the mark. The art could just be pretty mid, or the story is meh. And 3 or below is just bad, right? And below 3 is like there's something fundamentally flawed with the book, right? The art like looks like there is either it was damaged, it wasn't completed, right? Like stuff just isn't filled in and colored. that's when you get below 3. So that's really the scale that I operate on, in case you're wondering. So anyways, we'll pause there to talk about that. But that's Death of Copra, number 4. I gave it a 3.5 on the art alone. Then we have the Rocketfellers, and this one I actually gave cover art of the week on my little quick review. So this one is an interesting one-off. At first I was like, okay, this is kind of fine, and the Rocketfellers are meh. It's more of a kid-ish book than some of the other Ghost Machine stuff. So Ghost Machine includes Geiger, which is literally the only one that I'm not reading, but then it includes this. Hornsby and Halo's another. We have Redcoat. We had Rook, which was so good. Oh my gosh, Rook. If you could find that trade, I think it's a 5, maybe 6-part series. Woo! Rook was so good. And then there's probably another one that I'm missing as well. I guess the Rockefellers would be the other. So this book, we have a family that's come from the future. They're being pursued by some sort of bounty hunter, and we don't exactly know why and what has happened, but we get little tidbits of the story moving forward. Some of them have been filler issues, and then this one, we get a pretty nice reveal in the end. So I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.2. Let me just show off the art here real quick. It's not so much about the art, it's really about the reveal at the end. But this is basically a quick kind of filler issue to let us know more about this dog in particular. So the family, they have a daughter, they have a son. The daughter faints, and so they decide they have to go to the hospital. So everyone has left the house. Previous issue, there are these 2 random, kind of younger, but they look like they're eccentric billionaire guys. Somehow their crypto all got stolen, and they've traced it back to the house. Now remember, the Rockefellers are from the future, so I assumed it was the son that stole it, right? He's kind of into hijinks and things like that, and I was correct. It was the son. So he hires a whole bunch of, or these twins, they hire a whole bunch of goons to go in and attack the house. So they go in, but they're pretty stupid, and they're trying to find the computer, some notes, things like that. They do find some stuff. But the dog is there, and the dog is basically, if you watch Jimmy Neutron at all, it's like Goddard, right? So he's a robot, and he's able to kind of stand his own. If you saw the art there real quick, he basically kicks all these guys' asses, and he's got the guns drawn here on the cover art, but he ends up being totally, completely fine. Don't have to worry about him at all, and he's able to dispatch all these guys. It's funny, the eccentric rich guys, they're watching all of this unfold through VR and the body cam, so they can see this, and they're like, I want one of these dogs too. So it's a fun little book here. But the reveal at the end, so we have this eyeball that the dad is basically doing some sort of scientific experiment on, and it's from somewhere in the future. So now we've gotten to the point where the eye has gotten strong enough that it is reconnecting with whatever its host is. And we find out that the host, and I showed it here real quick on the video, but let me just flip back to it. It's one of the bounty hunter people, basically. So that's it right there, the splash that we get. And you can see, I see my whole treacherous family. So basically, it's a reveal that these bounty hunters have some sort of connection to the Rockefellers. My guess is, just looking at the age, it almost looks like the oldest daughter, which is interesting because in the last issue, we basically learned that the mother, she was a astronaut, and when she had her time to go up in space, she was pregnant with her first. It was always my thought that oh, okay, that's the son, but maybe it's actually this girl here, who is a little bit older. So I don't know, we'll see. And then it insinuates a second child, but they just don't mention the third. So maybe that has the reader kind of on the guess, but it could be a niece, it could be a cousin, it could be something else along those lines, but that's my guess. So it just has me speculating and thinking of what all is happening here with the Rockefellers, and it's really, really picking up here. So yeah, 4.2 and a 4.5, which is pretty good compared to, some of the books are 3.5 for sure. And we started off on a really high note, and this feels like we're getting back to it. So that is the Rockefellers, number 5. Then we have the Seasons, number 4. Man, so this was an honorable mention for the cover art. Just look at that, right? From everything we have going on up top here to the skull, and looks like consuming. Basically, this is summer seasons that we can assume right here. So really awesome book that we had. This one, things really start to pick up here as well. So I'll go ahead and just show off the art. Well, actually, let's flip over and get the number. So I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. I gave this interior art of the week. Like, look at some of this with some of the pastels and stuff. I was showing some of my buddies when we were on Discord the other day, but like, this is freaking awesome here. And I love just as you go, the colors just get more and more insane, right? Like, it is like, how do you even start drawing some of this stuff and filling and coloring it in? So the premise here is there's this weird carnival that's coming to town, and when it comes to these different towns, everyone in the city seems to like either is dead, disappears, or turns into part of the carnival. And that's something that we get way back in issue 1. We have the Seasons family. It's 4 different daughters, all named after a different season. Our main protagonist is Spring, but then you have Summer, who is like a big Hollywood movie star. You have Winter, who's like this depressed painter who stays in her room, and she's looking after Spring, who's the youngest. And then we have Autumn, who's a big adventurer out there. And so the parents have died. Autumn's basically trying to figure out this mystery behind it. And Spring is also like kind of brought in to the fold a little bit. Grab a sip of coffee here. Is brought into the fold a little bit and learns about what Autumn is up to, right? But her and Winter, they get into a big fight because Winter is like, you're doing all this weird stuff and like it's already stressful enough. I can't also be taking care of you while you're living in some sort of fantasy land, right? And we have this carnival. It's coming to town. And the issue starts here with Spring reading some sort of tale. And it basically describes way back in Egyptian times, you have this one king, and he was adorned by his people, but it wasn't enough for him. So he sought out something more, basically a different purpose. So he runs into a witch, and a witch basically says, what you're seeking for, you'll find it here. So he goes, and it's a sarcophagus. He opens it up, and it's another like witch or demon that basically comes out and basically says, hey, I will give you exactly what you want. It's in this mirror. And so he goes and he grabs it, and he's like, okay, what's in here? If you look at it for the next 500 years, you'll be adorned the way that you want to. So you'll just walk around staring at this mirror for 500 years. Then at the end of it, though, you will come into the sarcophagus, and you'll basically live in the sarcophagus for eternity. So the king takes the deal, and he looks at it, and he seems like he's having the greatest time of his life just wandering around staring at this mirror. And then, sure enough, comes back as a very old, frail man 500 years later, and then goes into the sarcophagus. So that's the story. So now, back into the normal times, we have this carnival. It opens up a night early, they say. And so Spring is like, crap, I got to get over there. So she goes over. Summer was filming a movie. She wants to come in town and be part of this carnival because she was notified about it and wants to be part of the premiere. So she heads in there, and there's a huge crowd all lined up. Spring's trying to fight her way through, but the crowd won't let her. So Summer gets in, and she's treated like the celebrity that she is for this small town. Then we get to the actual show itself, and like the master of ceremonies, it's like a very sing-song, rhymey, almost looks like it's some sort of spell that he's putting on the crowd. But he's basically telling this tale of like, here's this fantastical land, and like there's, as you're reading it, it's a little confusing, but it's very good the way that it's rhyming. It's giving you like these creepy vibes, and it gets to the point where they invite Summer to come onto stage, and as they're inviting her, that's when the colors start to get like pretty crazy and stuff. And Summer is then offered an object, and she picks it up, and it's the mirror. And Summer is very vain, so she like looks immediately into the mirror, and then we think about the tale story, and so now it's like Summer, the next one that's going to be taken and then lives in this sarcophagus, and how is Spring going to go in there and do something about it? So pretty cool story, cool premise, interesting art. It's just a cool book. So number 4, not really the time to jump in. You're going to want to start off a little sooner. Same goes for the Rocketfellers as well. Now that I think about it, didn't mention it for that one. But I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. Maybe at this point, just wait for the trade on it. And then last 2 books here, we have Void Rivals number 16. Number 18. And this book is interesting. We get a nice big reveal towards the end here, which is cool. Let's show off the art, and then as we do that, we'll go ahead and pull up the review. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. So remember, this takes place in the Transformers Cybertron universe, as you can tell. But we have two rival factions here that are basically set up, and they hate each other, or at least they think that they hate each other. There's some sort of prophecy out there, and we find out in the previous book, the prophecy says if these two nations are to unite, both would be completely destroyed. So the leader of one nation, which is like Aragon, and the other is Zeratonia or something like that. If they were to meet up, this whole thing and unite, it would all be destroyed. But the two leaders, they know that. And so they intentionally are having this war between one another so that way they can stay separate and then still stay alive, which is interesting. Our two main characters are Darak, which is the son of the Aragorian leader, and Celia, which is the daughter of the Zeratonian leader. They met up many issues ago. At first, they were bitter enemies, but then they were both abandoned on this asteroid, so they had to find their way back. Seems that there's like a little bit of romance that's going on here, maybe not, but they finally get back. They like each other. Celia, which is one of the Zeratonians, went into the center of the Earth. You can see basically from here, she is trying to find Zerta. And Zerta is a transformer, but it is like their god. And what she comes to realize is that it was a transformer that came out here, tried to set up a Cybertron well, basically to help the war on Cybertron. And so now that Celia has made it there, Zerta bestows a gift upon her. And basically this gift allows her to go anywhere onto the planet. So let me see if I can actually find it in here, because it's kind of interesting how it's done. There we go. So basically, she can be absorbed through the planet, and it'll like shoot her out or eject her out at wherever she wants to go onto the planet. And from there, she goes to meet up with Darak. So Darak ends with his father, right? He's like, because first Darak wants to unite based on meeting Celia and understands that, they're just people as well. He hears this prophecy, and because he hears this prophecy from his father, now he's kind of siding with his father. Like, I don't really want to unite. And so Celia, after she gets this gift, she goes to seek out Darak. He's in the throne room with the father. So she just arrives up through the earth in the throne room next to Darak with the father in it. And so they start talking pretty briefly, but obviously this is a huge shock. These are two factions at war with each other, right? They hate each other. So obviously all the guards go and, they're on guard and pointing weapons at her. And the leader is super pissed. So Darak very quickly says, like, oh my gosh, what are you doing here? And Celia's like, I found Zerta. I'm here to unite us. And Darak's like, yeah, about that. I don't think we're going to do that anymore. And then the leader, his father, is basically like, we have a Zeratonian in here. You're wearing a handroid, which is a technology that was from the Aragorian people. You're in the throne room, like, when you're not supposed to be, like you've broken a million different laws, and he tells Darak you need to execute her. And that's the cliffhanger that we're left off on. So huge miscommunication thing that's all going on right now. And it's like, how is this thing going to be unwound? So it's pretty interesting. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. It's way too late to jump into this, but the cool thing about this is this ties in with the Transformers series, and it's also part of G.I. Joe. So the Energon is Transformers, G.I. Joe, and then this Void Rivals, which is kind of like this one-off independent story, but also takes place in the Transformers universe, or the Energon universe. This is one of the coolest things I think that's going on in comics right now. On the DC side is obviously the Absolute Universe, which we don't have any of those books this week. We have some for next week. Marvel, it's the Ultimate Universe, and then for Image, it's everything in the Energon universe, are like the 3 big pillars, I'd say, of comic books right now. And this book is certainly one of them. It's been this way since Go on the first issue, and now here we are at 18, and I'm just as stoked as I was when I first started reading this book. So that's Void Rivals number 18. And then, last but not least, we have Dazzler, number 2. So this is the backlog. Let's see, when did this bad boy come out? This came out October 23rd, back in 2024. So, it's a backlog, just trying to get through that as quickly as I can. But I think at this point, I've read like 80% of my books. Actually, let's take a look, shall we? My comics, if we just go to the regular profile here. Yeah, so I have, oh my gosh, I'm 3 away. I have 1,500 books. Now, that's not 100% accurate because some are trades and they have multiple issues in there, so it's actually probably a little bit more than 1,500. But I've read close to 1,300, so 1,294, which is pretty good. So all things considered, and then I'm trying to pare down this pull list a little bit so we can just get more and more into the backlogs here. So don't expect anything on the next previews that come up. But anyways, back to Dazzler. So this is an X-Men related book. Basically, Dazzler she's got these superpowers where she shoots off light, very similar to Jubilee if you're familiar with her from X-Men 97. But this is a continuation from the previous one. So Krakoa has fallen. Dazzler is an artist, so she's out touring. She's probably one of the most popular from a pop star sensation mutant out there. And in the first issue, she has her first concert, but it's attacked and ruined by Scorpion, and it's basically like terrorists are coming in and trying to destroy this whole thing. But she's got a PR agent, and they're so focused on like trying to make sure that Dazzler is seen as positive in this light, and that the mutants aren't doing anything to harm anyone, right? They're just out here having the concerts, and everything's copacetic. So there's a whole bunch of, kind of bigotry and all that stuff that happens in the first issue. So that's continued here in issue 2. So we have Dazzler. She's gone to her next spot of the tour, which is doing a quick talk show in London. And when she's there in the studio, she gets some difficult questions, handles that fine. But then her powers just start shooting off, and she destroys the production studio. And this is live on TV. So not good from a PR perspective already to start. And once that happens, then they're like, oh my gosh, what did you do, Dazzler? And she's like, it wasn't me. I was mind controlled some way somehow. And sure enough, they find one of the production crew did the mind control. So they chase him through the building, they corner him. He's like, I'm sorry, I had to do it. They were texting me, I don't know who it is, saying that they were threatening my family if I didn't do this to you, Dazzler. So they bring him back into the production room, and we got to figure out who this is. And once that happens, then we have a new character that's introduced. I don't know if they mention her name or who she is, but basically it's someone who used to do music with Dazzler as well. And she's similar to Magic, where she can open up these different portals. So now the building is all surrounded by police and everything, because they see what just happened on live TV. So all her crew, they go through this portal, and now they're heading to the next spot on the tour. So that is the story and the premise. Go into the art real quick. I mean, it is just kind of your standard X-Men art that you see here. So nothing crazy, but also not bad at the same time either. So I've, enjoyed this book so far. But as of right now, nothing crazy. This is just a 4-parter. All the books, I think, are out at this point. So if you're interested, go ahead and check that out. But Dazzler, let's see. I already forgot what I gave it. So there's 4 parts. The last book came out back in December. But for issue 2, I gave it a 3.5. Lee gave it a 3.5 or 3.3. I'd say at this point, it's probably a skip unless you just want to learn about a different X-Men character. So that is going to be an episode. We got a couple things to wrap up here, but that's it for our reviews. So let's pull this back up so you can have the full list right in front of you and you can see it. And then I'll rattle it off for the audio listeners as well. So we have Ultimate Spider-Man number 16. We're taking everyone down with us number 2. Hellhunters number 5. Rogue the Savage Land number 4. Bitter Root the Next Movement number 2. Death of Copra number 4. The Rocketfellers number 5. The Seasons number 4. Void Rivals number 18. And then Dazzler number 2. So those are the issues. Let's now get into the polls for next week. So we are locked and loaded for those polls. And next week, obviously, Free Comic Book Day, it's going to be much lighter. I don't know how I'm going to review those, if they're going to be part of a show, if I just kind of do a one-off, just showing off everything real quick. Because they're not really reviews. A lot of the free books are much smaller than some of the other ones that you'll see. So, a standard issue, it may just be 10 pages or so that are actual story. Sometimes there'll be lead-ins or prologues that'll be for a new event or series that's about to take place. So it just really depends, and sometimes it's not really worth talking about them. So maybe I'll just do here's what I pulled and here's what I'm excited about that actually led me to buy something else moving forward, something along those lines. But that's all up in the air real quick. So yeah, I'm starting to realize for the polls, here's like probably where I should flip over to where it just shows the screen, because now what is on camera here doesn't match anything that what I'm talking about, but we'll get to it, right? 1% improvement each video. So these pulls here, it is 12 for next week, so that's very manageable and approachable. We have 2 from the Absolute, so we have Absolute Green Lantern number 2, Absolute Superman number 7. We'll definitely get those reviewed on the Saturday show. All New Venom number 6. And then from Image, this is a brand new one, Free Planet number 1, so that'll be good. Grommets number 7, that is finally going to be the conclusion to one of the books from Image that is been awesome. It's like this 80s skaters kind of vibe and motif, and it's like almost like a Saturday morning cartoon type of vibe. I've really been enjoying it, and like this one's been delayed forever, so we'll finally close that one out. The Moon is Following Us number 9, so getting towards the end on that one. I think that's 9 out of 12. Resurrection Man Quantum Karma number 2, that's a Rom V joint. That was first one was pretty good, so excited for that. Sam Wilson Captain America number 5, which has been fine. Storm number 8 is going to be a backlog. Ultimate Wolverine number 5, been enjoying that one. West Coast Avengers number 7, and then X-Men number 16 is going to be a backlog as well. So 2 that I called off that are going to be backlogs, so we'll have 12 or so issues. Probably won't get to all of them, but it should be a good issue for next week. So with that, I will close it out. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks for those watching on YouTube. So let me know in the comments what you think, what I need to improve, maybe some things that I called out here that are obvious to you. It's like, okay, yeah, definitely do that. But there are other things where it's like, hey, you should do X, Y, and Z. How I'm looking at the camera, the fact that I'm not looking at the camera, looking mostly off camera a little bit. The way this is all set up here, should you see more of my torso, less of my torso? I have no idea. Should it be more centered? I don't know. We're going to fix the watermarks like I mentioned before, but I just want to make sure that this format completely works. As far as promotion for the YouTube channel, I honestly don't know the name of it. So it'll be in the description for the podcast for sure. And then I'll promote it all on social media, but I haven't like fully completely set it up. Once I have it set up, well, then we'll just post the video and I'll know it moving forward. But I didn't get that totally done. I was so focused on like, all right, how is this production actually going to work for recording an episode? And then once we do that, then we'll get to the other piece. But if you're seeing this, you're seeing this, so I don't necessarily need to talk about it. And again, it's going to be in the description for the actual podcast. Other places you can follow me, Saturday Morning Comic Review on Instagram. TikTok is The Helpful Bailiff. BlueSky is The Helpful Bailiff, but that's going to be mostly on the wrestling side of things. And then saturdaymorningcbreview@gmail.com if you want to see anything extra, if you have any questions, concerns, things you love about the show, things you hate about the show. I'm all ears for feedback, so just trying to make this thing work 1 week at a time. So I think with that, we will wrap things up here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support. Have a good week, good weekend, and I will see you in the next one.
Go, 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 go.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.